Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. However this is finding you, I hope with all my heart it's finding you doing very well. Pamela coming here to you today to discuss B2B, business to business payment processing. I have learned in the last, few months, something specific in regards to how there's a leak oftentimes in B2B payments because the payment processing gateway that businesses are using is not always supporting them as well as another might. And so to get started, I wanted to explain a little bit about some things so that you understand what I'm conversing about. There are 3 different levels of payment processing type transactions. A level 1 would be a consumer like you and I as people going to get a debit or a credit card. Then there's what's called a level 2, and that is when a business is getting a debit or a credit card. And level 3, however, is when a business is getting a debit or a credit card, but they are sales tax exempt. Now, there's other contributing factors to this, but that's kind of the basis to it and the basics. So just trying to simplify it here for you all. But what I have learned, and it's very important that you all know this, is that B2B businesses are not being supported by using Authorize.net as their payment processor. Now, everyone has heard of Authorize.net, especially people in the payment processing industry or, a lot of techies and so forth, but a lot of people don't even understand how that works. Like, who is Authorize.net? That's not my payment provider. But on the back end of every payment processing, especially through e-commerce, there is a gateway, and that gateway is the intermediary between the payment processor and the banks in processing all of this information. Now, the struggle that people have is the lack of, or the ignorance, the lack of knowledge in regards to the fact that Authorize.net is not what they call optimizing the level 3 cards. So some might ask, what does optimizing mean? Well, optimizing means that at every time that a transaction is being conducted, information from that card needs to go to the system that's actually doing the transaction to, verify the person and so forth and their information. And so when it's level 2, there's often, there's also going to be the EIN number and the business name and the owner and things like that that's actually going through the system every time there's a transaction. When there's level 3, there's even more information that needs to be supported to that process every transaction. And that would include the sales tax ID number, for instance, as well as the EIN and all the things. And so what people are not generally aware of, and what I had learned in the last few months, is that Authorize.net is not optimizing that level 3 card. So what does that mean to the business? Well, what that means is that the business is then not getting the best rate on every transaction. And not only are they not getting the best rate, oftentimes that means that they're paying an additional percentage rate because all of the information that was supposed to be supported with that transaction is not actually being supplied each transaction that the card is being used. And so it's very, very important that B2B, business to business companies, are understanding the fact that they need to be supported by something, a gateway besides Authorize.net. Now, Authorize.net is actually a very obviously huge company, and they do have a higher scale gateway that can be supported to B2B. However, it's very, very costly. Now, it doesn't mean that has to be costly for a B2B business to be supported and have their level 3 cards optimized. And so I am with several partners actually that have access to a gateway that does do this optimization no matter what. You're using this gateway, and in fact, the particularly gateway that I'm speaking of, it actually is like a virtual terminal in and of itself, which means that the business can create invoices, can create reoccurring payments, can, it's literally tracking everything. That's what they call a virtual terminal. And the gateway itself is basically a system that handles all of that. Now, if you're using the right gateway, there's nothing really an owner can do to screw that optimization up, which is the beautiful part. So no matter what you're doing with your virtual gateway in regards to the setup or anything else, the gateway itself ensures that you're getting level 3 optimization and all of the information is going to that card. So the businesses that are not getting optimized, they could be losing, like I said, up to 1% each transaction in the sense of cost. They could be paying that much more. And so I am here to suggest to any B2B that they look at their merchant statements, have someone like myself or someone that you trust if you already have somebody, but I'm happy to provide that service for you. But have us look at your payment processing statements for the last couple of months and analyze how much B2B cards and level 3 cards that you're getting. For instance, I have a merchant that I do have access to that for, that I helped sign up through my previous payment processor. And I had discovered that they're losing over $500 a month on average because their level 3 is not being optimized. And the worst part is that's just on their average days. So the months that they have greater surplus, which they have fluctuating months of credit card volume, that means that the savings would be even greater. And so it brought me to wanting to come here and make sure to understand or explain this to consumers and business owners and entrepreneurs, that if you do business with other businesses, and especially the businesses that you believe would have a sales tax exemption, depending on the products and the services that you're offering, it's very important that you understand this. And that also that you're guided and advised, consulted, whatever you want to call it, by a payment processor who's looking after your best interest and making sure to educate you about this very thing. And so that is what I'm here to talk to you about. My name, again, is Pamela. My email is pamelaismypartner@gmail.com. And you are more than welcome to reach out to me to discuss this conversation in greater detail if somehow you don't understand what I'm speaking of or you'd like further clarification. And you can also send me your merchant statements if you'd like me and my team or partners to look over it, to see what kind of leaks in your payment processing system might exist so that we can put more money in your bank. So I'm just here to advocate for you and also educate and give insight where I can. And so I do hope this finds you well. And again, if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to comment below or email me at pamelaismypartner@gmail.com. And until next time, I thank you for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.